So we are extremely close to the 30th year anniversary of the Jurassic franchise. Since the beginning, since Jurassic Park was released, there have been a plethora of different animals that have been added to the canon. A lot of unique ones like Sinoceratops dreadnoughtus or Nothosaurus. A lot of animals that I probably would have never expected to be added to the canon. And the franchise is definitely not going to stop. We are definitely going to get new shows, new movies, new comics, whatever you want to focus on. We are definitely going to be getting more content from this franchise. And so I thought it would be a lot of fun to speculate and kind of give our ideas and wish list of what animals should be added to the canon post Dominion. Not necessarily timeline-wise after Dominion, just movies and things after Dominion. Thank you so much to Colton Todd for bringing this idea to the table. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to speculate and get our wish lists out there and have a lot of fun things to say about the future for this franchise. So the first animal that I would absolutely love to be added and has actually already been teased in canon is the mammoth. Iconic, one of the most famous non-dinosaur prehistoric animals. If you didn't know, it was teased in Camp Cretaceous all the way in the first season by Henry Wu, who mentioned that they had some remains just kind of sitting around. I don't remember the exact quote, but I know that it was mentioned.
What's that?
Siberian mammoth remains extracted for...
Ooh, what's down there?
I thought that was going to lead to a mammoth showing up later in the series. It didn't, but a Smilodon did. So that means they definitely were working with Cenozoic, earlier Cenozoic creatures that will probably make their way to the franchise. I think it's incredibly likely that we will see a mammoth at some point. Again, it's just too iconic of an animal, and it would definitely be a lot of fun to see it. Next up is one of my favorite dinosaurs, the Pachyrhinosaurus. I would absolutely love to see Pachyrhinosaurus in official canon. Pachyrhinosaurus is a genus of ceratopsian that lived in the Cretaceous period, of course, in the late Cretaceous. And they are unique to other ceratopsians because they have, instead of having horns or just a flat nasal area, they have what is known as a boss, which is this large mass of bone just sitting on their nose, essentially. It makes them incredibly unique and would definitely help them stand out from the other ceratopsians that are being introduced. Like Sinoceratops is a great addition, but it is quite similar to Triceratops. Same with Nasutoceratops, especially at first glance. Pachyrhinosaurus kind of offers a different type of head ornamentation that I think would definitely help it stand out. And I'm sure many of you already know it's already been introduced somewhat in Jurassic World Evolution 2, and honestly that design looks absolutely great. Of course that game doesn't have any canon elements to the overall story, so it's not necessarily in an official capacity. But even if they use that design, I think it'd be great. I mean, my only minor nitpick is the kind of hump that it has. Of course, there's no evidence of a hump on Pachyrhinosaurus. If they just remove that, I think it would look great. But other than that, the design is already solid, and I think that it would be a great dinosaur to see. And I would love another pterosaur to be added. So we've already gone with the huge Asdarchid pterosaur route, right, with Quetzalcoatlus in Dominion. Let's go on the other side of the spectrum. Let's go with very tiny pterosaurs with an Neurognathid, probably a Neurognathus specifically. I love these guys. These are probably some of my favorite groups of pterosaurs. It would offer the kind of cute, marketable, you can make a ton of plushies out of these guys, essentially. The audience would probably find them adorable. I think they'd be a nice change of pace as far as additions go to the roster. And, you usually get big, scary dinosaurs. Let's have a little, small, cute pterosaur, right? Once again, this guy has been introduced in Evolution 2 in the Feathered Species Pack, and I absolutely love its design there. Or, well, actually, a Neurognathid was introduced in Evolution 2. It's Jeholopterus. And it's similar to a Neurognathus, that I think that they could probably use a similar design to Evolution 2 if they were to ever to introduce it. Because I'm actually a huge fan of its in Evolution 2 look. It has these kind of tuft of feathers, much like a horned owl, that kind of make it look like it has little bat ears. And Neurognathids are already extremely similar to bats, so I think that would just be so fun and so adorable. I would buy that plushie. And I don't usually buy plushies. So that really says a lot. Of course, the addition of more aquatic animals I think would be really fun, because as it currently stands, we only have the Mosasaurus. So something to kind of balance that out. I think would be a lot of fun to introduce. I'm not even really picky when it comes to this one. I just simply want more aquatic animals. Like I would go with ichthyosaurs, or I would go plesiosaurs, like really any plesiosaur. I would take elasmosaurs, plesiosaurus itself, Kaiwekia, any of that. I would take any of them, really, just to kind of fill out the waters a little bit more. Even though the Mosasaurus has been kind of underutilized as of late, it didn't have nearly as big as of a role in Dominion as I think many of us thought it would. So kind of fleshing out the oceans or the waters, I think would be a lot of fun. I don't know how they would really introduce that story-wise. Maybe there's some a new genetic company that started making more aquatic animals, and then that went wrong. They tried to make Jurassic Aquarium, right? And then they all broke out, and they caused issues for our local aquatic life. I just think it would be a lot of fun. We can go with some more dromaeosaurs. Dromaeosaurs are iconic. What I find interesting is that every time they introduce a brand new dromaeosaur, it's usually one that we estimate to be of smaller size, but then they increase its size. The example for this is, of course, the Pyroraptor and the Atrociraptor. Both are known from extremely limited remains, so honestly, we can't even estimate the proper size, I argue, but, we estimate that they are smaller than what they were portrayed. So what I think they should do is, if they want giant dromaeosaurs, is introduce the giant dromaeosaurs that existed, like Achillobator or Utahraptor or Ostroraptor. Any of those would be a lot of fun. I'm sure that for the most part, the reason why they don't want to introduce it is they don't want to outstage the iconic Velociraptor that they've had firmly established in the Jurassic canon. Because Utahraptor, even though the Velociraptor in universe, it's based off of Deinonychus, but it's closer to size to a Utahraptor. So even if you introduce the Utahraptor, it's not going to be too impressive of a difference, but it would still be really cool nonetheless. A giant feathered Utahraptor. I could see it now, and it's beautiful. While I'm talking about feathers, I would love Eutyrannus. Eutyrannus is a really cool genus of dinosaur. Once again, it was added in Evolution 2 with that feathered species pack, and that design is absolutely gorgeous. If they just brought that design over to the movies, I would be an absolute happy camper. I think a giant feathered dinosaur would definitely be something that would be really cool to see. I mean, we already got Therizinosaurs, but I'm talking like complete feathering, because they were kind of sparse with the feathers on Therizinosaurs. So something that we know for sure was completely feathered, like a Eutyrannus, I think would be really cool. And lastly, I want to mention this one because this is something that always terrified me growing up. And so because that's my frame of reference, I feel like it would terrify other people. Varanus priscus, or as it's more commonly known, Megalania. I think Megalania would be really cool. As far as we know, it is the largest lizard to ever live, and it was definitely a force to be reckoned with. I believe about roughly 10 feet longer than a Komodo dragon, which is today's largest lizard. This would be something that I think would probably horrify people, especially considering the fact that we know that we speculate that it had venom that acted like an anticoagulant, much like modern day Komodo dragons. And so basically like a 20-foot long lizard, which is basically something that is straight out of old Hollywood dinosaur movies, I think would be really cool to see on screen, and personally I think would terrify a lot of audiences, simply because it terrified me growing up from Monsters Resurrected. Yeah, that scared me. But that's my wish list right there. Those are some animals that I would absolutely love to see in the franchise at some point or another. Let me know your guys' list. What animals would you love to see? This includes anything that's extinct. Do you want a dodo? Include the dodo. Do you want something as far back as like a Gorgonops? Heck yeah, let's include Gorgonops. Just let me know. What is your wish list? But thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and have an awesome day.